our panel today is going to be talking about these issues, and I'm super excited because I've worked with several of them before, and they do great work. So with that, I would like to start with Chris Shimoda today, and we'll have Chris come forward.
Thanks, Marnie, and thank you very much for the invitation to speak today. So wanted to just give a really brief overview of the trucking industry to give you folks an idea if you're not familiar. Trucking is really the backbone of the American supply chain. About 8 out of every 10 pieces of freight that gets delivered. So, like we like to say in the industry, if you bought it, a truck brought it. 8 out of 10 packages on the road are delivered solely by truck. And so without the trucks on the road every day, the supply chain as we know it today is really not possible. We are a blue-collar job generator. If anyone saw this study in 2015, NPR put it out, that even in the home of Silicon Valley and Hollywood and agriculture, truck driver is still the most common job here in the state of California. And it's consistently named one of the best careers that you can attain without a 4-year college education. And so, another real important fact to know about the trucking industry is that it's largely driven by small family-run businesses. 97% of the trucking companies out there run less than 20 trucks. And so the companies that everyone's familiar with, your UPSs, FedExes, maybe even some of the larger companies like Schneider, control a very small fraction of the industry. The folks that we represent at the CTA are largely second, third, and fourth generation family-owned trucking companies, and these companies really do make up the backbone of the industry. Okay, and so we were asked to talk a little bit about sustainability, and this is a phenomenal story for the industry. These graphs that you see up on the screen are representative of the evolution of the modern truck engine, going from, on the far side, back in the late 80s, when emission controls first started coming onto trucks. We've gotten, both from smog-forming pollutants, as well as some of the pollutants of concern for local communities, over 90% reductions in recent years. Things like short-lived climate pollutants, black carbon, for anyone who follows this sort of thing. We have gotten a 99.9% reduction in black carbon just by instituting modern emission control technology on trucks. And so we're very proud of these achievements. We're actually working with our partners at the Air Resources Board to try to modernize the fleet today through a mix of incentives, regulations, as well as enforcement. And talking about some of these next steps, since this is the innovation workshop, I'm sure the gentleman from Clean Energy will have plenty to talk about on this respect. We are moving towards the next generation, even though we've gotten so much cleaner in recent years. We are definitely not done. We're still moving the bar, both on climate pollutants as well as criteria pollutants. So there are some standards working their way through the EPA, truck and trailer fuel efficiency, as well as some plans for even lower standards for truck engines for smog-forming pollutants. Sometime we expect in the next 5 to 6 years. Renewable fuels such as renewable natural gas, renewable diesel are starting to make their way to the market, reducing the greenhouse gas climate footprint of the industry. And then also we're starting to see the initial forays into electric drive zero-emission truck technology and hybridization. There's a lot of exciting work going on here. I was actually on a conference call this morning talking to utilities and fleets as far as how we're going to coordinate the rollout of the necessary charging infrastructure to support zero-emission vehicles. And so there's a lot of very exciting work going on there. And then, the presentation you just saw, Peloton, working on the platooning technology. There's a lot of very exciting things happening in this space right now. So beyond just platooning, pretty much all of the major truck manufacturers are working on commercial versions of the light-duty self-driving vehicle today. One of the most major manufacturers of trucks in the country is Freightliner. They announced last year the Freightliner Inspiration, which is, I'm about to dive very far into the weeds right now, but a level 3 autonomous vehicle, meaning that they essentially the technology is good enough where in certain situations the driver can just take their hands off the wheel and the vehicle will take control and then give the driver a warning when it's time for the driver to take back control of the vehicle, similar to the Tesla Autopilot technology. And so that truck was in demonstration. It's expected to be available commercially here in the next couple of years. And so this technology is coming at us very rapidly. As the director just said during lunch, oftentimes we run into issues driving innovation when regulations don't match up with where technology is headed. And we're running into one of those situations today where DMV has draft regulations on self-driving highly automated vehicles that prohibit any commercial vehicles over 10,000 pounds from being tested or deployed in the state. And so despite the fact that we're home to several wonderful companies, I just saw the press release from a company by the name of Embark, who's going to be working on a self-driving truck. We also have Otto, who was just purchased by Uber right here in San Francisco. The regulations governing these things in the state won't actually allow these vehicles to be tested here. And so we're seeing these technology providers actually leaving California to do their testing and proving with companies who are not located here either, with fleets. So we are working to try to get some of these regulations looked at. We do believe that if there is going to be innovation in the space, if it's going to be a Silicon Valley company, our fleets here should be able to get together with these folks to work to push this technology forward, to understand it. There's obviously going to be huge ramifications for the trucking industry. We do have a driver shortage, as Director Iwasaki mentioned, that is only going to grow as time goes on. Our average driver on the road today is 55 years old. So we both have a truck driver shortage as well as a crisis coming when all of our commercial drivers start retiring. And so this highly automated vehicle technology has a lot of promise to allow the industry to continue to deliver the necessary goods and services while dealing with this massive shortage of labor. And so thanks again for the invitation to chat today, and I look forward to the discussion. Thank you.